think probably everybody that is watching in attendance today and that will be watching always has the exact same, I'll use the word struggle, because our intention is not the same as other people's intention, especially when we have money on the line, right? It's our brains are very quick to identify spending money with an exchange of something tangible that we're going to be monetizing and growing our business. So we get very excited about bringing on a lead generation platform because we think that is going to be the answer to our business. And that's where we really lose that. I don't even know what word I'm looking for whenever I'm talking about what we lose, because we have such an expectation that these are my goals for the year. And this is one of the tools that I'm putting in my tool belt to be able to meet those goals for the year. And when we bring it on and we start making phone calls and we start having conversations, we realize this is a longer play in the game than what I initially thought it was going to be. So the backup plan, and Crystal, I saw some of the questions that were coming in for our webinar on Friday. And, you know, this kind of ties into one of the questions where looking at, especially a shift in a market, we really have to be cognizant of where are we financially, what is the health of our business? And if you're not looking at your real estate adventure as a business, now's the time to really get strategic with what are you doing when you wake up this morning unemployed? Where are you going to find that employment? And that is what really helps to get creative with how we're going to bring in business. Because if we're relying on one lead generation, it's like relying on a table that only has one leg. You're not going to eat on a table that has one leg. You're going to lose your dinner. So even two legs. So three legs a table can stand, but a three-legged table can't completely withstand a storm. The more legs the table has, the stronger the table is, and the stronger the table is going to withstand a storm. So looking at Agent Locator as one of your lead generations and utilizing Agent Locator as you're bringing in other lead generators as the CRM. And I think that's a big misnomer, that we're looking at Agent Locator as they're supposed to be driving the leads and they're going to be giving me qualified leads. It's going to help me convert. But it's really our individual job to be driving more and more traffic to our CRM, not necessarily the lead generator. Because if we just kind of pay, set, and forget, it's never going to work in its fullest capacity. And looking more at Agent Locator as that customer retention management system and not so much as a lead generator. And exactly to your point, I hear all the time, these people aren't ready. When are these people ever going to buy? How can I make them interested in real estate, especially in today's shifting market? You can't. Can you attempt to help to get somebody off the fence? Absolutely. But everybody has a story, and we can't make our time their time. Just because we need a sale, just because we need to be showing homes, just because we need to sign on a property, that's not their problem. That's our problem. And the more solutions we have to fix that problem, the less we're going to be depending on every conversation that we're having. So that is what really changes the game, is when we start looking at every conversation that we're having as, so what's your story? What has to happen in your life to be able to make that move? And what can I do so you don't freaking forget me, right? Because there's 10 million agents out there. I want you to use me when that time is right. Alex, how long have you been in real estate?
I started, I got my license March, and you know, I had a baby in June, And so took some time off and
Well, what a big year
yeah,
for you.
a lot of
Lots of
changes for me.
new.
Yes.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
So how long, and you may not have even really thought about this, like really logistically, how long do you plan on making real estate your career and your livelihood?
Well, for I want it to be my my last job kind of thing, right? That's how committed I am. But yeah.
Wonderful. What was your first job? Or maybe your
Well,
second or third. I don't know how many jobs you've had. I don't know how old you are.
yeah, I had a tons of jobs, but yeah, like my previous job, I was actually working in the construction supply chain. So I worked with a lot of builders uh, and construction companies. And actually, before when right after I got my real estate license, this back in March, I was actually working for a builder in Calgary, as a sales associate. So yeah, did that for a couple months. And
so you have a great idea of what it takes to create something and build it to the finished result. Right?
That I don't have issue with that. I guess it just I think I needed someone to help me just mentally be prepared. Like I think that's what. Yeah.
And I love analogies because they're stories that we can really resonate with and remember. And being that you were in that construction building industry, if you can look at your leads as you got AgentLocator, and that's where you've got your site plan, you've got the land, but then you got to dig the hole. And before you dig the hole, you have to have the survey to know exactly how to properly set the house. So right when you get AgentLocator and you get a new system, that's really your site survey. That's really getting all of your ducks in a row, getting everything in place. And then as the leads are coming in, it's like laying one brick at a time. And depending on the market, the construction can take 3 months, or the construction can take 9 months to a year. And it all depends on the size of the home and the complexity of the home and the architecture, right? So for us to get a lead generator and have leads coming in, it's really, when you really get down to thinking about it, it's unrealistic to think that we're going to get a lead and close them and have a return on our investment within 30 days. When you look at it from a bigger perspective. And to your point of what you said, this is your last game, right? You're jumping into this with full speed ahead, saying this is my life. So as you have, I see, do you have 59 leads? I think I've cleared the filter. Is that how many leads you have?
Well, I had more, but I delayed a few that just that was going nowhere for the past few months, and then and also.
Okay, tell me what you deleted or garbage. Did not have a good phone number and did not have a good email.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, no good phone number, no. Yeah.
Okay, and that's fine to do so. But let's just look, and I love baby new dashboards because it really is so exciting to think about the long-term result here. Because the metrics of what we discover is 30% of your leads coming in, depending on where they're being generated from. And I haven't looked, are they Facebook, or are they Google, or are they a combination of both? Or are they home sellers?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Crystal?
For their Google condos, homes. Yeah.
Okay. So Google, you're going to find about 30% of the phone numbers are going to be bad. And that's not a bad thing. I encourage the bad phone numbers for a multitude of reasons. One, AgentLocator, when you do define it as a bad number, which is why we really do have to call our leads, is to define it as a bad number. Once we define it as a bad number and we mark it as a bad number, AgentLocator, when that lead comes back in, is going to prompt them to leave a good number. And we can automate a campaign in the attempt of getting a phone number, bringing to attention, hey, I tried reaching out to you about your home search. This is the number that I have. Is there a better number to reach you at? And you will be amazed that few people do respond back and say, oh my gosh, that 3 was supposed to be a 4. And then you have a good number, and then you have a hand raised. But the reality of looking at our bad phone number people is there's no competition, because if they legitimately gave you a bad phone number, they've given every other website a bad phone number when they've logged into that one and when they've registered at that one. So he who gets the phone number, he who has the timing prioritized, you have no competition. They're not talking to a bunch of other people like the people that give you good numbers.
Mhm.
So 30% of your dashboard is going to be the game of how can I get them to raise their hand? So that's one segment of your dashboard. Then you have 25% of the other piece of the dashboard that you're having conversations with. So that 25% is genuinely building your future pipeline. So it's being in that mindset of asking, why would they be making a move? What is the purpose of them making a move, and start organizing them so that you know exactly what their intentions are. And then all you're going to start doing is prioritizing them. And when you get it out of the gate with a brand new database, you have such an organized dashboard that any message you ever want to send out, you can just hit a couple of buttons and you're sending out the proper messages to the proper people. But where we all fail is we lack the consistency, because life happens, vacations happen, babies happen, holidays happen. We get busy. We create business because we're working our dashboard. And then we lose sight for a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month. And then the oh shit factor. Then everything's kind of disarray. We've lost that consistency. We haven't had enough conversations with people. And then it feels like, where do we start? So the number one goal, especially as you're starting out with a new dashboard, is always, always, always block off a minimum of 10 to 15 minutes a day just to get in your dashboard and work with filters.
Mhm.
That way it's never going to get out of control. Do you think about in the morning brushing your teeth, or do you just get up and brush your teeth?
Just do it.
And that's the habit that you need to create within your lead flow, is you just do it.
Mhm.
It's okay. You walk in your office and boom, or, it's like, okay, I get done with some appointments, boom. Because you do slightly want to change up the times that you're reaching out to people, because people have habits. If it's always a good time for you to sit down to computer at 9:30 in the morning and you're trying to engage with people, but they have habits, and you're not going to get a hold of the 9:30 people that are taking their kids to school and they're just not going to be able to answer the phone. So you do always want to be kind of changing up time frames that works for the leads, not necessarily for you, but make it work in your calendar. And just learn and practice those questions that are engaging, because the number one object or goal is find out where they are in the process, nothing more.
Mhm.
Because then you know how to proceed, and then just ask them, what can I do in the meantime to be of help to you? You're obviously online looking for something. How can I assist and make that searching easier for you and helpful for you? Understanding what's going on with the market, understanding what's going on with the interest rates. Be that connector.
Mhm.
Is that helpful?
Yeah. I feel like I've been asking the right questions. Is where, when I get on the phone with them, say, hey, why you're thinking moving, why you're thinking selling, why you're doing this, and then they say, oh yeah, I'm thinking about 3-4 months down the road. I say, hey, that's great. Do you want me set up another search, right, for you, or look at it different things? And sometimes I even offer to set up a matrix search that's with the Alberta real estate, that's on a different separate search.
Mhm.
And sometimes they will look at it, and then some of them look at it every day, look at 3 or 4 times a day. But then I don't know what it takes for me to get them out of that, from a computer to meet in person.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do. Is there any like tricks that that you can?
Do you have a lead in your mind right now that we can use as an example?
Sure, I got like 20, 30 of them. I'm talking.
Well, yay! That means you've got a beautiful pipeline then.
Oh, I got a beautiful pipeline, but they're just they're window shoppers right now.
Okay.
they need to get out of their chair and to meet me in person.
So give me an example. Give me a name.
Okay, so let's say this Brenda Burks. Initially I thought that she was part of the Burks family. I don't know if they have that jewelry store in the US.
But we don't.
No, hey. Yeah. But she's she registered on the
49
website
days ago.
Yeah, and then she was looking at it, expensive properties in the millions. And then, as an agent, I do my due diligence, look her up, try to find anything I can find. And, I located her, Facebook profile. And so, she got pictures with horses and stuff, and it matched the story she was telling me. She wanted a property that with the land so she can keep her, miniature horses and donkeys and stuff on the land. So, and then, we found several properties. I connected with her over the phone a couple times. And, I'm texting her, she's texting me back, having a good, good communication channels. But then still unable to meet with her to bring her out to show her properties.
So what is her current situation?
Well, she's 2 weeks ago she had a competition. I think she's working with her client, and she's flying back and forth from Vancouver to Calgary. She's busy, and she's looking for property that where she can keep all her things, and her husband, I believe, is overseas. So
okay,
that makes the situation a little bit tricky. Yeah.
Yep. So there's a lot of moving parts. Now, does she have to sell to purchase?
No.
Okay. What is, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is her urgency on needing to have a home? Is this a want to or a have to?
Well, so that's the question. Once I asked over the text, and then never really got an answer from it, right? Like she's kind of, she's selecting the question, answering, this handful of questions I asked, but the other handful, she's kind of, I feel like she's avoiding it, right? But I don't know. Yeah.
All right, this is so funny, and
it's kind of like you're playing a mind trick with your client, right?
No, you're actually, Alex, playing a mind trick with yourself. And this is such an appropriate time to bring this up. My fiance, on our iPhones, you can set your priority people that you text all the time at the top, and it like gives you like these little circle people. Do your phones do that too? Do you have an iPhone?
No, I got a Samsung, so it's Android,
okay. So it doesn't. Well, what it does is it puts the people that you text the most up top as a priority, so they're not any longer in your text string.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a priority. Well, what happens though up there is it doesn't pop. My messages don't pop up in his text string. It just pops a number in the bubble. But he's 61. Can't teach a new dog old tricks, or can't teach an old dog new tricks. So he misses all of my text messages. So what'll happen, and it's happened today, I sent him a text message, no response. He sends me, because we have a restaurant, and he's taking pictures of the cost of salmon and fish and whatever. He's sending me pictures of food and going, food costs this week. I'm like, yeah, but what about the text I sent you? Oh, sorry. And I'm marrying him next month, right?
Mhm.
So that's why I made the comment that we're in a dialogue, in a competition with our own selves, because she's busy. I mean, gosh, it was exhausting just hearing the fact that she's doing competitions or whatever, and she's flying here, flying there. Her husband's at. What's the problem, Alex? She's busy. I'm sorry, you're not the priority.
I understand, but then then she make a plan that seems like we're going to connect over the phone in the next couple of days, and wow, disappears, right?
And plans change,
It's
right? Plans change.
demotivation, right? It's just
Yep.
it's very very demotivating, right? So do I, and I try to call again, in the next few days, because I can see she's still looking at the properties on Matrix.
Yep.
Maybe not on AgentLocator, but on my Matrix it does, the same
So
sort of
I
tracking
am
as well.
looking at her profile, and she called you September 8th at 11:17 in the morning. And it looks like you missed the call.
September 8th.
Uh-huh. At 11:17.
Yeah, she did, actually. That's right. She did. And I called her right back.
But you didn't call, so you called her from your cell phone, not the system, so it didn't record the conversation, correct?
Yeah, I called her right back, and then she didn't pick up. And I think she texted me. Let me just check on my phone here right now. September 8th. Yeah, she said she was trying to. Oh no, that's not what she said. She said September 8th. Oh yeah, she dialed my number accidentally, and she said she sent me a couple of listings she thought she's interested,
Okay.
and she wanted me to find out if how many, the number of horses that she's allowed to keep on that land.
Okay.
And so yeah, and that's when we got engaged, and then back and forth. We were supposed to connect, sometime that weekend, but
Mhm.
that never happened.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Mhm.
That's okay. And and I always use my real life to really drive these things home, because it's real.
Mhm.
So I went for one of my wedding dress fittings, and they invoiced out the seamstress on what they're doing to the dress. Well, when I have like external, like they're like separate sleeves that slip on. When they were ordered with the slip, but when they came in, they didn't have the slip. But on my invoice, they put $100 to add the slips. Well, I didn't realize it until after I left. So I was literally on my way to an appointment, and I called, and the girl that answered the phone, she says, the owner's not here right now. She just ran outside. I'll have her call you back as soon as she gets back in. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna be at an appointment, but I really want to talk to her. So I'm like, anxiety. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna turn my phone down, make sure it's not like gonna blow up or whatever. And it was about 10 minutes later, she sent me a text, and she's like, Bev, you're absolutely right. We got it. All's good. I didn't need to have a conversation with her. And I think a lot of the times we create what we think the process should look like, because I need to be with you to show you a home to make the sale. Was what we think. That's just our initial thought, right?
Mhm.
But in her busy life, it's only us that needs that recognition of, I don't want to just leave a voicemail and tell her you can have 6 horses on this property, because if she don't call me back, I'll give her the information, right? But acknowledging the fact, hey, Brenda, I know you're super busy. Just wanted to get this into your voicemail box. I'll shoot you a text too. Let me know when it's going to be convenient to take the next step on whatever it is on your term, your time. Give her the permission to not feel guilty for not calling and not communicating. Do what you say you're going to do, deliver. And this is where we get really attached in that process, because it's supposed to look a certain way. So if we drop the expectation of what it's supposed to look like to close a deal, it's going to make it a heck of a lot easier getting through the process. Because I know I've sold homes to people that they've never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time that happened to me, I'm like, these people are batshit crazy. Like, why would you do that? Right? And I'm like, it doesn't look like this. Like, I can't protect you, right? I can't, if I miss something, like I can't do it, but I did. But if I was so hung up on what the process looks like that I'm trying to mold and conform it into something that I think is the perfect experience, I'm sabotaging the actual experience. And that's why always, I'm asking the lead, how do you want me to work for you? How would you like me to communicate with you? I know you're super busy and you're not going to be able to grab your phone all the time. I just want to ensure that you got my messages because I don't trust communication. I don't trust that my text may go through because sometimes one of us may be in a bad area and it may not go through. Can you just hit me a quick got it, just so I know that you received it?
Mm-hmm.
So that way, when everyone is clear on communication, there's clear expectations and there's less feelings and thought process involved.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just getting right out on the table, and I know my mindset, I have a very difficult time texting. I really struggle and it's completely challenging for me because I've learned how to communicate via phone. I've learned how to have conversations. I've learned how to convert the impossibles. I never learned to do that via text.
Yeah,
There's certain things you can't do via text, right?
Yeah, I agree. I would rather prefer, talk to them over the phone, but
Yes.
Face to face, that's the best, right? And number two is conversation.
Agreed.
And text is the worst because
I completely agree.
Yeah, and then when I do text is when I, like you said, I did something, I did my part, I pass that ball back to them, right? And it's not their turn to return it, right?
And I know a big mistake that I've made and sometimes do continue to make is overthinking that process of, I'm forever horrible at, well, I called you, it's your turn to call me. Right? It's like, I called you, call me now. You don't call me, you're off my calendar. I did my part. I made the phone call. It's your turn to call me back. You haven't called me back. Well, I get egg on my face because here's the reality, right? Why in the world would I ever expect them to call me back when I'm not yet a priority in their life? That relationship has just gotten started. And usually their everyday life and the priorities they have in their everyday is way more important until they get to a point in the process where they have to have a house because something's forcing them out. And I look at that as Christmas Day. The only freaking reason we buy shit and make sure that we have it in time is because if that ain't under the tree, we're in trouble. But if we didn't have the deadline of having it under the tree, we may not have actually purchased that product because we wouldn't have had a deadline to have it purchased by.
Right.
So ain't no buyer going to make you a priority until they have that urgency to have to. So we have to find out from them what property would be completely irresistible to you and have them explain that property, because then they can't say no, because then you've created that urgency because you've just told me what property you couldn't say no to, and here it is. And you will have that buyer that finds something wrong with every single property.
Yep, I had quite a few actually.
Yeah. And you're like, all right, there ain't ever going to be any perfect property. but we've got to narrow down. And all that is, Alex, is excuses, because people are innately afraid to make a commitment because of FOMO. Well, if I commit to this property at this price, what if something better happens? Especially if they've been looking for a longer period of time than the shorter buyer. They're thinking, there might be something else that comes up, and I don't want to commit to this one because, this is perfect. It really works well. But what if that other, I'm like, come on, you've been looking for a freaking year, and this is the first one you wanted to write on. Do you really think the best property is going to come up next week? So it's really getting them to explain to you the irresistibles. Mm-hmm. What about a property would make you say, this is it? What does it have to have? And that gives you a great indication of what to be searching for and helping eliminate that process. Because here's the thing, if she's that busy, she probably doesn't have a ton of time to be digging in and doing the work. And a lot of times we have this process all wrong. It's not up to them to be online doing the searching. It's up to us to be online doing the searching to find the property before it even hits the market. That's where our profession gets real. So if you know what her non-negotiables are of what she has to have in a home, start digging into homes that are not yet on the market. Look at homes that were purchased 15, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. Look at properties that probably have a crap ton of equity. Start making some phone calls. Start sending some letters. And you never know, you might get a listing out of it.
Right. That's a way of doing it.
Going that extra mile and letting, you have to have that value proposition, because the average person knows 12 real estate agents. Mm-hmm. What makes you special? What makes, if she is going to utilize you as your profession, why should she use you? And if you don't know that value proposition, that is your number one goal, is what am I bringing to the table that my competition can't? And that's where our confidence really starts to rise, and we just exude, and they just want to use us just because our confidence is so high. They know that we're going to find the property. And that's where I love having conversations with buyers, especially in a crazy market with multiple offers. Is your agent finding you homes that aren't on the market yet? Why are you constantly going into competition with 15, 20 offers? There are homes out there that are going to be hitting the market tomorrow, next week, next month. Let me find them for you and reverse that marketing, I should say. Then they're going to want to pick up the phone whenever you call. You're like, wow, you're really doing that for me. And, it's not, I've told this on plenty of webinars. I had a buyer, it was back in 2012, and they wanted to look at a property that I went on a listing appointment for, and I turned the listing down because he just wanted a crazy amount of money for a property that needed a lot of work. So he was a lead in my database that wanted to go see the house. And I was on the phone with him, and I said, what makes you want to go see this house? He goes, it's in the perfect area. I said, let me ask you a question. Yes, it's the perfect area. Do you want a home that needs work, or are you looking for a move-in ready? I have to have a move-in ready. I can't do any work. I said, even if the location's perfect. He says, even if the location's perfect. I said, sir, I'm going to ask you a question. I know this home. I've been in this home, but unfortunately, I have to represent the seller unless you ask me to represent you. So I'm going to ask you this question. When you're sick, do you go to the pharmacy to get the drugs, or do you go to the doctor to find out what drugs you need and what's wrong? He said, well, I go to the doctor. And I said, so when do you want your doctor's appointment? When can you come in here so that we can diagnose what it is that you're truly looking for and save you time and find you the house you really want? And he's like, you got me. You got me. That appointment happened that day within 2 hours. He still has not moved 10 years later. But what we told him, and he was working with 3 other agents, Alex, what we told him is we will start researching homes that meet your criteria and get to you before you even find them on the market. And that's exactly what we did. We went into our MLS, we pulled up homes, because you have that ability to go into your MLS and pull up homes that sold 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and cross-check the history and see if they've actually closed since. If you know how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what the acreage is, what the parameters of whatever it is in the home that they need, you have a whole freaking list of homes that have potential. That is what makes the difference. Rather than, well, if you see something when it's getting sent to you, let me know. Well, that's what 10 other agents are telling the same person that's in 10 other different dashboards. How do you stand apart? How are you the umbrella on a rainy day whenever you already own 3 umbrellas and you have to buy another one because you're stuck without an umbrella?
Yeah.
Do you know her parameters enough to be able to do some digging to find properties that may not be on the market yet?
No, not at this point. I don't have enough information to do that yet.
So can you see how that conversation would go, Alex? If you would have talked to her, one of the previous times you would have talked to her and said, what are your non-negotiables? Like, what do you have to have in a home? Because yeah, these homes are on the market right now, but my job is to find you homes that are going to be coming on the market. And I want to really start doing some research for you so that we can find that home for you. And then honestly, I don't give a shit if she buys or not, because now I have a reason to go and talk to potential future sellers. And then what happens when you start creating those conversations with people, they're like, oh my God, you're working this hard. I've never seen an agent work that hard. If we're going to be selling our house, we won't use you.
Right.
Because you're actually out there earning your money and not just putting a sign in the yard and not just waiting, right?
Yeah. Well, that's it's the same thing when you're doing open houses, almost like in a way. Yeah.
Well, and that makes you want to do an open house even more when you have such a strong value proposition and you have such a strong work ethic and you're bringing something completely different to the table.
Right.
I've been in this business since 2005 and I found about 2 agents that do it. I mean, it's so rare. And one of the agents on my team, we actually, we door knocked. And I say that like, I'll never door knock. I was the anti-door knocker. And it was unbelievable to me, the relationships that she created. And one of the owners said, we have an agent. We are thinking about putting our home on the market. We'll have our agent reach out to you if we do decide to go on the market. So we door knocked in November. In March, the seller reached out to my agent and said, we're thinking about listing our home. We have not talked to our agent yet. We wanted to offer it to your clients before we got our agent involved. Oh, okay. We made it work. We got our full 3% commissions. Everybody was happy. The seller made more money just because we knocked on 13 doors and we sent out consistently 48 letters, like 3 different times. And so our market is not like the multi-million-dollar market that y'all are in, but our average is like 450 and it was an $800,000 sale.
Oh, wow.
So when our dreams are big enough, when our desires to make something happen is big enough, it gives us that confidence and that knowing to make something happen. And it makes our conversations easier with the leads because then we really feel like we're doing something to make a difference and not just calling leads to attempt to convert them. And it does really, when we sit down to call our leads, it takes it to a different level. Because I don't care if they're going to buy or sell. I want to know where they are in the process and when they might be buying or selling. Because we're not going to ever be able to make anybody move when it's not in alignment with their time. And we just have to be okay with that. So if we can be mindful of, we're in the database gathering business, we just happen to sell real estate that's really lucrative when it pays off. So how can you get more data? How can you get more leads into your agent locator? How can you get your web domain out there for people to start searching to get those names and those phone numbers of anybody and everybody? How can you be that brand, that go-to person? Oh my gosh, Alex is everywhere. And really think about what your message is that you want people to know. Is it first time? Like what lights your fire, Alex? Is it first time home buyers? Is it downsizers? Is it horse property? There's a myriad of different ways that we can build a real estate business. And that's what makes it so fun, because we can really enjoy what we're doing by being with the people we want to be with. If we want to make it proactive and be around our ideal client. Where does our ideal client eat? Where do they hang out? What are they doing? What keeps them awake at night? And when you start being that solution to people's problems, you're just going to attract people.
Yeah, great. Definitely, just yeah, I'm like not nodding my head right now, but probably gonna watch this video again just to to listen to some.
Digest it.
Yeah, digest a little bit better for sure. Yeah, yeah. Made a lot of good points. Yeah.
Well, it's eye-opening, right? Because
Yeah.
we've all been there. I'm going to exchange money for leads and I'm going to make business.
Yeah.
But it's not that easy, unfortunately. If it was, we wouldn't have these webinars.
So very true.
Yeah, it's 100% mindset and getting out of our own heads and stopping our own stories. Because, to point, my fiance ignoring my text messages, but we get pissed off at leads, right? And we ignore, and I don't want to say we never intentionally ignore communication that's coming in our phone, unless it's a number that we don't know and we just don't want to answer the phone. But yet we're dishing out, right? Exactly what we do. We're getting upset with leads because they're not calling us back or they're not responding to us, when honestly, it's not their job to. It's just our job to keep that communication and to stop that self-talk of, I just texted them 2 days ago. Should I text them again? I don't want to be annoying. I don't want to bother them. Right? It's real. Which is why we always have to ask, how would you like me to communicate with you? How often would you like me to check in with you? Then it takes all that self-talk out of the equation. Well, let me retract. It will not remove the self-talk. You still have this, even when they give you the permission, you will still have the self-talk. And that's when you have to say, is this reality or is this my old story? Because our moat memory doesn't know the difference. It doesn't know that they said, oh yeah, you can text me today. You can text me next week. Your body's gonna go, you just texted them 2 days ago. Why are you texting them again? You go, she told me I could. So the more we can stand up to our own self-talk, the further we're going to exceed and achieve. Because at the end of the day, if you don't gain their business because you've been too aggressive, you wouldn't have it anyway. But if you don't know, you don't know. I see Paisley asking a question here. When you call lead for the first time, do you introduce yourself as an agent or from the website they signed up on? Oh, Paisley, this must be one of your first times coming onto our webinars. Welcome. Because I always drive this point home. I always created my own objections by telling them the whole story, right? I'm with this real estate company. I'm with this
Team.
database. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my team name. And they're like, who are you? So I just keep it real short and sweet. Hey, Paisley, this is Beverly. I saw you were online looking at homes in blah. What's your situation? What were you looking for? Just cut right to the point of why you're calling, because they don't hear a damn word you're saying, because they're just trying to figure out who the hell you are, because they don't know the number that just popped up on the phone. And all that self-talk that says, well, I'm a real estate agent and the law says I have to introduce myself as an agent. I have to introduce this, that, and everything else. No, you don't. They gave you their phone number. They gave you permission to call them. All you're doing is calling to find out, what's up? What's up, bro?
Try that on one of your calls.
And I've been accused. I will never forget that lady. Why are you being so nice to me? You don't know me. Okay, then. I'm sorry. You want me to be mean to you? So yeah, just your name. They'll figure that out without creating that own objection, because whenever because you have this like long 30-second dialogue and they don't even hear you. And they're like, who is this? And then you have to explain it. They're like, oh yeah, I'm not interested.
Or their blood pressure is rising because they have no idea why you're rambling on and why you're calling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They just want to know why you're calling and what you need.
Mm-hmm.
So the quicker you get to the point, the fewer times you'll get hung up on. You're still going to get hung up on. It just happens.
Mm-hmm.
But it will definitely decrease the amount of times you get hung up on, I promise.
Just call them back like the crazy ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
We have some of these objections. We have about 9 minutes. We can go through a couple of them at least. I know that these are common objections there's a Facebook group. I'm not sure which one it is. It's one of our girls has been kind of watching all of the questions that are coming through on there. Now, one that actually might be good in Alex's situation here is, because he is relatively newer to the industry, is what can a new agent offer? I'm going to say even a seller or a buyer in this case, something that a seasoned agent wouldn't be able to offer.
And I don't look at either as the difference, because we are all people with 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. And we all have the innate ability to listen.
Mm-hmm.
But we really like to practice talking. So I don't like to separate between a new and a seasoned, because that's only in your head that you're new. And it's only in that other agent's head that they're seasoned, because there's always someone better than you, no matter what level you are at in your life, at anything. There's always somebody that's going to be better than you. Sorry. But the reality is of it, if you love people and you care about their situation and protecting their biggest asset that they're getting ready to take on, it don't matter. Mm-hmm. People just want to know that you care. That's it. It's us that overthink shit. Oh, we have to have this beautiful presentation and we have to have this beautiful folder and all this bling. Bullshit, they don't care. If you can, yeah. But you don't need it. Just show up. Ask the questions, care, follow up. Doesn't matter if you're seasoned, because seasoned agents still make mistakes. Promise you. Seasoned agents still drop the ball. I was just talking to, she's one of the biggest agents in Houma, Louisiana. And she's like, I forgot to show up at a settlement. I'm mortified, right? It happens. Mm-hmm. You're no different than a seasoned agent. Just show up, be who you are. You're going to attract the people that you're meant to be working with. And that's the beauty of this business, is we're all people and we're all meant to be matched with the person that we're supposed to be working with, because that seasoned agent started somewhere too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reality, right? We're all in this walk of life. And the only reason that we put people on pedestals or status quos is because that's what the world says we have to do. I mean, even the school system teaches us at kindergarten, A, B, C, D, E, F. You're an F student, well, you fail. You don't move on, you suck. Oh, you're an A student, distinguished honor, you're great. So no wonder we think in our working atmosphere that there's people that are better than us. And no, they're just different. They're just equipped different.
Very true.
So
Yeah.
you bring you.
Mm-hmm.
You bring your talents. You bring what your life has taught you to your clients, to your future clients. And it all goes back to when Alex and I were talking about that value proposition. And ask yourself that question. What benefit does someone have by utilizing my service versus another agent? It has nothing to do with being seasoned or not. It has everything to do with what is it that you're bringing to the table that your client can benefit. And that is what your business model should be wrapped around. Because the reality is, right, when you attract the right people, it's not work. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in that right atmosphere and you start having the right conversation with that person, they're like, oh my God, I'm looking for a home. You're like, oh, yay. Let's go. Let's do it. It just happens. So we just have to be very cognizant of where we're hanging out, who we're hanging out with, and what our dialogue is. What's that elevator pitch? Are you awkward? No, I'm a real estate agent. I help buyers find homes and I save them the most amount of money that they can save in their real estate purchase. I sell homes. I put more money in my seller's pocket than the average agent does. Back that data. Even if you've never sold a home, do your research, know your data.
Use your brokerage numbers.
Yes. Because it doesn't matter. Whatever brokerage you're with, all of those years of collected years of all of the agents that are in that brokerage, they're yours. Because you have them to lean on and ask the questions and do the things. So when you ask yourself that question, what benefit does someone have utilizing me as their agent versus anybody else? Start defining what your business strategy looks like. And ask those people that have paved the path before you how they did it. Ask them what their biggest struggles are. Agents love to talk. And I remember when we were moving into the foreclosure stage and all these agents were listing the REO properties, man, I was having conversation after conversation after conversation because we were in a multiple offer situation all the time. And I would make nice with the agents. I'd be like, so what do you see coming down the pike? Like, what's going on with the market? Are you seeing more homes being sent to you that you're doing that what we call them BPOs, brokers price opinions? And that's really how the foreclosures would start, right? They would get a slew of broker price opinions before it would actually foreclose. So what do you see happening? Has that lightened up? Is it getting heavier? What's going on? Make friends with your competition. Ask them what their biggest challenges have been, their biggest obstacles have been, and learn from those that have gone before you. Now, there's some that'll have an ego, but study the competition, understand what they're doing, and do it just a little bit better, and you'll win every time. You just have to know your market, have to know your numbers, and have to know your competition above all. Because I promise you, this is the beautiful thing about seasoned agents and competition. They ain't paying attention, and they can very easily get passed up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Have to agree on that.
Good stuff today,
Awesome.
Alex.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's definitely yeah, just I need to position myself differently and asking the right questions for sure. Yeah, learn the question.
Yeah, just, one of my best coaches told me to become a great question asker, and I never really absorbed what that meant until I started asking more questions. And then it hit me, because then that means we are controlling the conversation and getting the information that we need. And we're talking less. And that's what it's about, right? God gave us 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen more, talk less, ask the right questions. And you're always, you can't lose. You can't lose. You may not get the deposit in your bank account, but you can't lose whenever you truly are asking people about them. Was there any other questions, Crystal?
No, not. It's quiet group today, it seems. If we do have more objections, we'll just have to look at them in other webinars. There's always time to kind of go through those, because they will take a little bit of time to actually go through them, I imagine.
Yeah, just put them in a thing, and then we can definitely pop them up.
Yeah, well, exactly, especially even when we have an empty seat, right?
Ah.
Yes. We're listening. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe the 1st of October can be on objection handling.
Yeah. Like that.
So get your objections in.
Yes.
So Alex, we gave you a lot to think about and chew on. Now you can go digest.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Well, thanks
Thank you,
everyone.
Crystal.
Yeah, if you want to send any,
everybody.
yeah, if you guys want to send any objections that you come across, I'm sure there's a lot of them, but any kind of scenarios where you kind of got stumbled on really how to handle it. There's the obvious ones. I have an agent. We're just looking, certain ones like that. But if there's any that you definitely stumbled across, you can send it to myself. I'm just putting my email in the chat. It's just crystal@agentlocator.ca.
And they can even be just your business challenges. It doesn't have to be an objection.
Yeah, objection. Yeah, or maybe they're objections you're giving yourself.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, see you.